Good morning from Paris, France, during the Olympic Games. It is Wednesday morning here. We're about 7 hours ahead of St. Louis Central Standard Time. And it's early, but we are up and running, and we'll be having our team meeting shortly and praying for and planning for the day. Here's how I'm going to do today's report. I'm going to share our prayer requests on the front end, share a little bit about what happened yesterday, and then I'm going to share and some more of your questions, which I really like because it is helping me know how to paint the picture as to what is happening in our encounters, in our days. And so please keep them coming. Add the comments on our Facebook page or here on these YouTube pages, and we will answer them the best we can, okay? So prayer requests. I had some serious back pain yesterday. Praise the Lord, it didn't prevent me from being out and about, but it really put me down by the time we got back. But that's okay. I laid down and skipped out on going to dinner with the team, and they brought dinner to me. And those of you who know me know that when they told me they were going to a Mexican place, I'm like, yes, please. And while I would have liked a taco, it was easier to transport a beef quesadilla and chips and salsa. And so that was my dinner last night here in Paris, France. But pray for my back, that it does not prevent. It hasn't yet. I don't believe it will. I'm going to keep pushing, taking ibuprofen, and trusting that I'm going to have the strength and the physical ability to do everything I need to do today. Because I got a great team, and we serve a great God, and this is a great opportunity. A couple of things from yesterday, another prayer request. We didn't have many encounters yesterday, but continue to pray for seeds that are sown, conversations that I've had. We've had one pray to receive Christ, and that's exciting. But continue to pray. And like I've said before, and if you haven't heard me say this, anytime you hear anything about the Olympics, maybe it's the medal count, maybe it's about Team USA women's gymnastics winning gold, maybe it's a commercial. Whenever you hear anything about the Olympics, just pray. Pray that the gospel will go forth clearly and unhindered by teams like Beyond the Rings, international sports chaplains, the local evangelical Christian churches. There are many Christ followers who are trying to make the most of this time during the Olympics, so pray. So yesterday was a bit of a disappointment, very hot. It's one thing to be very hot and humid like it is in St. Louis where I'm from, but you can always go into the air conditioning and cool down and kind of get reset. There's very little air conditioning here in Paris, France. So it is very hard to get cooled down. Because it was so hot, the plans that we had for yesterday, which we thought were perfect, ended up being problematic. The morning fan zone that we'd had such great success in the day before was a bust. They didn't have the family activities going. There were a lot of people there, but they were all tuned in watching the events on the screens. And because it was so hot, if you didn't have a piece of shade, people were just moving on. They didn't want to stand in the sun, not even for a minute. So limited opportunities there, but we did have some. We've always had opportunities to engage in gospel conversations wherever we go, so we make the most of them. So we then decided to go over to the mall that we were at a few days ago that was very nice and air conditioned, and it had a rooftop view of the city that was a popular photo spot. So we thought, that'll be a good spot, let's go to the mall. So we got there about 1:30, 2 o'clock. It's about what time we're eating lunch these days. And it was a bust. People that were inside were just wilted flowers, exhausted from the heat. And then those who did venture to go up onto the rooftop, they went out, got their pictures, turned around, came right back in. And so there just wasn't the opportunities we thought there would be. And so limited impact yesterday, but not zero. It's never zero. And so continue to pray for every single conversation and encounter that we have. So once again, some of you asked some great questions. I don't remember them all, but here's a couple more from our world traveler and friend Lisa. How do we approach people? That's such a great question because it's not about just handing out pins to every person who walks by. The ministry that I learned Olympic ministry in, International Sports Chaplains, founder David Gwynn, always had a wonderful phrase that I think just really kind of sums it up, and it's this: we want to be involved in personal evangelism with the highest integrity. So it's very relational. So essentially, we're going to meet people, talk to people. We may talk to them for 5-10 minutes before we ever mention the pen, before we even ever transition to the gospel, because we want to find out about them. We want to have a genuine encounter. And we believe in those moments, God is at work with a divine appointment. And it's our job and responsibility to use the pen to bridge from the ordinary of every day to the eternal of the gospel message and their need for salvation and God's great love for us. And so, an example from yesterday, when we were in the fan zone and it was stinking hot, a woman walked up to me. I'm pretty sure I'd seen her on the train. She was sitting next to another woman that Destiny had begun to share with just briefly when we were on the train before we had to get off. So this woman walks up to me and she looks at my pens, because of course I'm wearing my hat. I'm kind of advertising the fact that I'm all about pens, right? And our best pen, the favorite pen. And she says, "Are the pens that you have the same that the athletes get or give out?" I'm like, hey, that's a great question. And I spent about 3 minutes talking with her about, there's all kinds of pens, thousands of different types of pens. There's official Olympic pens, there's non-official Olympic pens, there's corporate sponsors, athletes will have pens. I showed her the Team Canada beach volleyball pen. This is the official pen for the Team Canada beach volleyball team. And then I said, we have a pen, and we bring it and share it with it and give it away as a gift because we want to share God's love with the world. Can I give you one of our pens? She's like, yeah, absolutely. So I found out she was from New York City, there with her mom. I think that was the older lady with her on the train, but I didn't see her at the moment. Just happens to be an executive with NBC who deals with all the sports programming except for the Olympics. And so she was there just literally on holiday, or vacation as we would say in the States. And so I went through the whole gospel conversation with her. She was very engaged, very in tune, listening closely. You could tell the Spirit was at work. And I get to the conclusion of the gospel, and I ask the question, everybody in the world is in one of two places, brokenness or God's perfect design. Where would you say you are? And she said brokenness. I said, yeah, we all are. But you know what? The hope is that with Christ, we don't have to remain there. We can be restored to His perfect design. It doesn't mean we're perfect, doesn't mean we're flawless, but it means we're back with the way it should be, in relationship with Him. And even in our brokenness, He will journey with us to help us move away from brokenness and closer to Him and His perfect design. Well, I'd love to say that she prayed to receive Christ right then and there, but she didn't. But it was a wonderful seed planted, and it was a great opportunity. It came about because she approached me. Now, that doesn't always happen. We love it when they do. But for me, if I see somebody wearing a team color, I will approach them, and I will say, hey, and I'll joke, hey, they're wearing Great Britain colors head to toe. And I'm like, let me guess, Great Britain. And they're like, yeah. And so sometimes, most of the time, those turn into really good encounters, conversations, more times than not, gospel conversations. As we were leaving a fan zone the other night, I saw my first big group of Aussies standing around, Australians. And with Sydney being my first games, anytime I see Australians, especially young people, and these were young 20-year-olds, I just walk up to them and I just start the Aussie cheer. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. And they look at me kind of surprised. Oi, oi, oi. And we went back and forth, did the whole cheer. And I'm like, how do you know that? And so I got to share a shared experience. I'm from Sydney, love their country. And I do. All that is true, genuine, and personable. And I got to have some great conversations with them. in a few moments, all because I knew who they were, where they were from. And more times than not, people will respond to genuineness, to humor, unless it's just like beaten by the heat, or they're in a hurry, or they're just not into it. That's okay. But we just look for ways to personally connect with others and proceed as if the Holy Spirit is leading until the door shuts, or we get to plant a seed, or in those beautiful, beautiful moments when we get to be there when somebody decides to turn and follow Jesus and submit their lives to Christ as a new follower. So thank you again for tuning in and being a part of our updates. Remember, we're 7 hours ahead of you. So as you go throughout your day, maybe think about that. If you have a phone, you can do a world clock that shows you the other time. And like on my phone, I have our current time, but I also have the time back home, so I know what's going on with my family and my friends back in the States. And that just helps us be in tune with the timing of prayer. One final thing as I close out today, it is raining this morning. It's supposed to rain all day. That causes a logistics challenge for us as to where to go to share and when. And so join us in prayer as we seek the Lord's direction on that, believing with confidence and assurance that He will answer. All right, friends, thanks for coming along to Paris, France during the Olympic Games of Paris 2024 as we share about and help others discover that there's so much more beyond the ranks.